Good morning and welcome to today's edition of the London Session Open. Today is November 8th, 2019 and it's 9:30 a.m. in London when I'm doing this market update. And my name is Alejandro Zambrano. I'm the Global Chief Market Strategist with ATFX. I'm also the editor of investingcube.com and I'm based in London. We're going to take a look at the markets as we usually do today. As we usually do at this time, it's quite a good and slightly more busy market. Just a bit. As you know, forex markets have been quite quiet, but we have activity in gold now. We have cool stock markets are doing quite good. So this is not that bad. So we're gonna begin here with the euro as we usually do, and the trend for now remains bearish. There's no change in my outlook here. And my idea was that it's not so much idea. You can, if you look at it from a bigger perspective, we are definitely going lower, as you can see. And then what happened here is that the price was creating higher and higher lows. And from this little spot here, when we traded above 109.65, I turned bullish. And then when the market traded below this level here, when we start creating these higher low, I turn bearish, and produce some interesting analysis on that on the dollar index and other markets on investingcube.com supporting that view. And my outlook remains unchanged. Now we didn't not have a very strong correction because the market are moving really slowly. But I'm going to stick with this level here. So if the market would swing all the way back up here, I think people will look to sell. And if you really want to work with sort of short term, you might be able to get away with just using maybe 110.94 as a stop. But if you don't want to work with the short term levels, then you're looking at the big picture, and this is the trend fund level. This is the dollar versus the Japanese yen, and as you know, I've been talking about this inverse head and shoulders for quite some time, and I continue to insist that we're trying to go upwards. As well, stock markets moved up quite a bit, and this is trying to follow through. Now, if we ignore the spike, then effectively we already had a breakout on November 5th, and this is just a continuation. But if we do take that high into account, then we haven't properly traded much higher and have not had a breakout. But for now, it looks constructive, and this is yesterday's low. That's the November 7 low. And as long as you trade above that level, the trend is going to be bullish. So there's two ways of trading this. One is just to get on board here and looking for that breakout. The alternative is to wait for a little pullback. There's no right or wrong how you want to do this. There's different combinations. Some people just buy the breakout, just stick with it, and effectively trade 100 times and see some results after that. Other people, only want to buy pullbacks, and it's the same philosophy. And then you can do a combination, buying about here, and if it would slump lower, then buy a bit more, as long as the overall risk is not too high. So there's two options. You have this one here, and like that, and then you have just buying the breakout, which is like that. GBP versus USD started to look really interesting. So we're just trading about 127.89, which is that important level. It's the low of October 24th, and we bottomed out here a few times, and we did move up higher. It took a long time, but the risk reward ratio proved to be very good. From what I bought, you get a risk reward ratio of about 3.95. Maybe the same thing is going to happen here again. It's totally fine to be long a market like that, as long as we are trading above the low. Then it's perfectly fine to be long. The biggest problem with these, though, and again, there's no right or wrong, but the problem is that when the market almost gets you stopped out, it will get you stopped out eventually. That's my experience, and that's why you're getting this crazy reward ratio of 5 times your money. And again, I'll leave it up to you what you want to do. Technically, the trend remains bullish, and if we trade below the low, then that's going to be bearish. The fact that the euro dollar is already quite bearish supports this to go lower. The fact that the Bank of England as well yesterday had 2 out of 9 people voting for a rate cut also is a shift in the tone of the central bank, and it's also dovish and bearish. And then you have New Zealand dollar USD, which is slightly bullish, but I had it as bullish up until 2 days ago. Then I turned bearish on that one. Dollar yen, as you can see, is trying to trade upwards, so I suspect we might actually trade lower here. But again, it's nothing wrong. It's just the numbers games. Nothing wrong buying here if you wanted to. And then this is the price of crude. So crude is looking good, and it's trying to move upwards. And as you know, I'm waiting for that little move. Last time we trading here, and I said, if you want to, you could work with these short-term levels. You can do the same here if you wanted to. But I said, let's stick for buying down here. And that worked out really good. And again, you can do the same thing here. You can work with maybe this low as a little short-term low for as an attack to the upside. But my personal preference is still to look for that steep decline, because I think this channel is dominating price. And according to the channel, we should be buying down here somewhere. So from the 50 and lower, that's where I would be focusing on if you want to buy crude. As for gold prices, it's exciting times. It's been boring for a very long time, and then the market slid, and we have now punctured the lower end of this range of this rectangle pattern. It's rectangle-like because it's not rectangle exactly. I think you could argue this is it was a descending triangle. If you put it like that, target would be slightly different. Actually, yeah, it's different because the breakout point happened up here, so slightly less aggressive target. And then what I'm looking for here after this break now is that as long as you trade below this high, which is yesterday's high, and the trend is bearish, and we could potentially trade lower. We already tested that breakout point. We might test it again. That would be the October 11th low at 1473-ish, that area. I think here people will be quite keen on selling gold to attack the lows. The fact that dollar yen as well is trying to break out makes a lot of sense. These two have a decent correlation and inverse correlation. As for stock markets, the German DAX, is doing really, really well. It's not that far away from the January 28th high of 2018. But the market, you can see here, has been overbought for quite some time. There's a quite strong diversion on the 4-hour, and it doesn't require too much to know that this is not the good spot to buy. The last idea I told you was to buy here. That worked out really good, and now I'm telling you, let this move back down to 50%, if not a little bit more, and hopefully your RSI is going to be at oversold at that point, and you can maybe work with a bullish position. As for the S&P 500, as well as doing good, the last idea was for you to buy down here, and we moved upwards. And since the beginning of the week, I said this is probably a good spot to book profits, and I stick by that, even though the market's gone higher. I can tell you, you can buy if you wanted to here with a stop here, but I wouldn't trust that short-term level. I would wait for that little pullback down to support, and as long as you're about 3012.6, then I'm going to remain bullish. Let's see if you guys have any questions. We have Nikos in the chat. Thanks so much for joining me this morning. I hope you're doing well. If you or anybody else has any questions, just put them in the chat box. It's very straightforward. You just need to have a YouTube account to be able to sign in and ask questions as well. If you're signed in, you can subscribe to our channel. It's very straightforward. There's a little function. Should be, let's see here. Let's go to the BBC News. So, for example, you have that little button here on the BBC, and then you have this one here, which is the little bell button. You can probably find something similar on our page. If you put the bell button, you get a little alert every time someone has every time we go live. As well, if you want to stay in touch with me, then this is my link to my Twitter. It's a good way to stay in touch. If you have questions as well, you're almost welcome to reach out via that channel. Okay, we're gonna wrap things up, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys on Monday for the next market update. And as well, I'm gonna be publishing some content now over the next few hours. So if you want to keep tabs on what I'm up to, uh, this is the link to my profile on Investing Cube, and that again can allow you to sort of keep track. So for example, gold, I talked about that already yesterday. Dollar index as well. Talked a bit about the FTSE 100, and you got crude oil prices, and more gold, and more euro, and more S&P. So there's a ton of stuff I upload, and if you want to keep tabs on that, then you want to follow that link there. Okay, guys, have a great day, and I'll see you guys on Monday, same time here on investingcube.com. Thank you, and bye-bye.